All right, everybody, we are back with the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. So glad you're joining me here today. I hope that today's Q&A will be helpful for you. Of course, every single weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, we go through these Cabral House Calls where we answer questions that have ailed them or they've been worrying about over maybe the past couple of weeks that they've written into the show. So all the questions are answered in the order that they are received. And right now, we're looking at a Q&A from about, let's say about 8 weeks ago. So if you've written in previous to 8 weeks, your question has already been answered, and you can find it at stephencabral.com/podcast. You can simply use that search box. All right, for everybody else, we're getting to your questions. Of course, they're always answered in the order that they come in. But if you have same-day questions, of course, if it's a customer service question, you can always email support@equa.life. But if you want answers to your health questions, or you just have trouble finding a particular podcast, please do write in for same-day answers at cabralsupportgroup.com. Takes you to our private free Facebook group. There's over 25,000 people there from around the world. Similar interests as you, you'll meet a lot of great people, and of course, would love you to connect with them as well. So ask a question, leave a comment, get some answers, leave some answers. That's what the community is all about. All right, let's dive into today's first question. And let's see, all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging, longevity, you name it. That is what we're here to help. Of course, can't share any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis, but you know that by now. We're here to provide you health-based education, empower you to be able to change your health, body, and mind. All right, first questions from Shelly. This was actually my team made a note of this. My team's absolutely amazing. Again, you don't get to meet the almost 100 people behind the scenes that make all of this happen, whether it's with the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, whether it's with Equalife, or whether it's with my Stephen Cabral team. They are hard at work working to serve you. I mean, they really are. They're amazing, amazing people. So they let me know that I missed a question last week. So Shelly, we apologize about doing that, but my team is on it. They put it back in for this week. Shelly wrote in and said, "Hello, could you explain the long-term effects of using Benadryl, especially with the gut? I've been using this for so many years due to sleep issues, which I believe is due to histamine issues." All right. So Shelly, I totally get it. I understand. You know, I'm not always sharing my story, but all of my teenage years, I was on Benadryl at night to go to sleep, and I was on Sudafed during the day to wake up and get rid of my allergies. So that's literally how I live my life. Benadryl to sleep, Sudafed to wake up, and then I would also use things like Prilosec for my acid reflux. I mean, none of this is normal as a teenager, right? But these are all the medications I was using. I was using amoxicillin every single day. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from. And I even used Benadryl into my 20s to sleep in college. And of course, I had very bad allergies as well. Mast cell activation syndrome, mastocytosis. And yeah, it wasn't good. So I totally get it. I understand where you're coming from. And then during my worst allergy season, which is the spring, I would actually be using, this is no exaggeration, and I don't recommend anyone ever do this, and it didn't even really touch my allergies because back then I didn't even understand allergies really. I always thought that was, it's just a histamine issue. Well, I was taking 2 Benadryl, 50 milligrams, 6 times a day. You're not supposed to take that much, but they would barely touch my allergies. And that's because I had what's called a leukotriene-based allergy, a little bit different. Still produced lots of histamines, but when it was peak allergy season, actually I had leukotriene-based issues. That's when I started to understand the connection between gut and allergies and histamines. I fixed my gut, my allergies went away. It's pretty amazing, right? Didn't happen overnight, but it did happen. So long-term effects of Benadryl. All right. So Benadryl is an H1 blocker, essentially a histamine blocker, receptor blocker, but it actually affects the body in many ways. So in the gut, it can lead to constipation. It can lead to restriction of the bladder, so like not emptying, being able to fully empty your bladder. It can lead to dry mouth. It can lead to vaginal-based dryness. I know this isn't all gut-based issues. And long-term, it can lead to severe mental health-based issues, sometimes with anxiety, and also leading to imbalances with dementia and potentially Alzheimer's. I'm not saying, Shelly, of course, that you're going to get that. Not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but just do keep that in mind. Again, I can't give you any medical advice, but fix the gut. So run at least the starter kit, or ideally the big 3, which is all gut-based testing. And then probably you'll be doing the CBO protocol with the citracetyl drops, the CBO finisher to heal and seal the gut, most likely a lower histamine diet in the beginning. And then my last big tip is I use Hispro to this day, and Hispro works amazingly well with extra vitamin C. So, and then it's on top of course, the daily foundational protocol. All right, that's a lot, but I would love you to get a customized protocol and plan just for you. And you can do that just by running a lab at stephencabral.com/labs. You'll find all the different labs there. It just takes you over to EcoLife. You can just go to stephencabral.com/shop, or you can also work with an integrative health practitioner level 2, and they'll be your one-on-one coach to walk you through all of this. All right. Thank you, Shelly, for writing in. Teresa is up next. Hello, and thank you ahead of time for all that you do. I was diagnosed about 7 years ago with MAC. Let's see. I did listen to your podcast on lung issues, which was helpful, but I was wondering if there was any additional information to help with. I'm presently using a nebulizer with colloidal silver. I'm wondering if you've ever helped clients with MAC before. I do not want to do the antibiotic protocol that they have for 15 months with 3 high-powered antibiotics. The bacteria in my lungs has grown in the past 3 years. I work part-time, male, 69 years old. I'm assuming male, it just says M. Take a low dose of lanoxapril for blood pressure as well. I'm 65, 5'10", work part-time in my gardening business, but tired and wear out faster than I would like. Yes. So yeah, it's a type of bacteria that is essentially it's an infection that is built up in the lungs. It's escaping me right now. Short word A in the second one, for the lungs. So basically a bacterial infection in the lungs. Have worked with this many years ago in the past. This is not something that I see specifically in my practice. This is an active infection. I do recommend that you either go the natural route to try to clear this up as quickly as possible, or that you do go with the conventional medicine route. And if you do, of course, I'd be using after you're done with the antibiotics, the gut CBO protocol with the CBO finisher. And while you're using the antibiotics, the CBO, it's called the clean gut probiotic and the healthy gut support to keep your gut lining healthy. So the nebulizer with the colloidal silver is one thing that some people do. The nebulizer with N-acetylcysteine, NAC, is another that people do, as well as using a full immunity protocol. Now that's vitamin D, it's balanced zinc, it's vitamin C, vitamin D, balanced zinc, but also much stronger herbs. And those stronger herbs are typically oregano oil and a product called sinus support. Now I know it just says sinuses, but it's actually licorice root, internal N-acetylcysteine, and others as well. So that's typically where we start with and citruscytol drops if you'd like to. And that's just for 3 weeks, the citruscytol drops. The oregano drops might be for 6 to 8 weeks. You can also use a echinacea, and that can be powerful for the immune system. Some people use cat's claw, but I definitely recommend, again, that licorice root and N-acetylcysteine that is in the sinus support as well. So again, that's not medical advice. If this is worsening, I do recommend, of course, that you work with a medical doctor to make sure that this bacteria is kept in check, because it can affect the inflammation in the lungs and cause damage as well. So my best to you, and let's make sure that we get this taken care of, whether it's, I think it might be Tyrese. Okay. So appreciate you writing in. Iffy is up next, IFY. Hello, Dr. Ball. Thank you for everything you do. I wish I had submitted this question when I first found you, but I'm okay with the wait. I've had hyperthyroidism for a number of years now, and I've had scans confirming it is caused by Graves' disease. After being on tapazole for 2 years and a bit, I was advised to take radioactive iodine, but decided that wasn't for me, and I ended up taking herbal teas to mitigate my symptoms. I had decided I wasn't damaging my liver anymore and got off my drugs. Since then, my symptoms have been non-existent. Resting heart rate averaging 80 to 90, no sweating or shaking or any expected symptoms. My new endocrinologist says I'm still hyperthyroid with THS at, and I'm assuming that just means your TSH, apologies, instead of THS. At 0.01, free T3 at 7.1, and free T4 at 21. We want to try for a baby soon, so any function advice would be great. Okay, so we look at Graves'-based disease, so that's what hyperthyroidism is, and we're careful to use a lot of the nutrients that we might give other individuals. So for example, we're not using a lot of tyrosine. We're not using a lot of iodine. We're not using a lot of selenium. These things can exaggerate if someone's already in an imbalanced state. But with Graves' disease, we're looking at this as essentially an autoimmune-based issue as well. I'm not again classifying as that. I'm just saying we're looking at it in the same regard. So we really need to go through the de-stress protocol. So we're typically always starting out with a 21-day functional medicine detox. But before we do that 21-day functional medicine detox, which is just stephencabral.com/detox, that's what we use in our practice, I want you to, again, only if you're able to, I want you to at least run the starter kit. So I want you to at least look at heavy metals and imbalances with the gut, as well as imbalances in the mitochondria, the energy, low vitamins, low minerals in the body. There has to be something off. Again, the body doesn't make mistakes unless there's a deficiency in something or a toxicity, right? That is not able to maintain then a balanced equilibrium. And the reason I say that is that, you probably didn't have Graves' disease at 8 years old, but then the body began to move towards more of the genetic predispositions, which is really epigenetics, is the expression of your genes in the environment that they're placed. So at 8 years old, the environment was okay, but your toxicities maybe began to build up, heavy metals or gut issues, viruses, etc. And maybe there was greater deficiencies, maybe in methylated B vitamins, folate, B6, etc. So I want to take a look at that. The bare minimum I would advise is running the starter kit. And again, you'll find that at stephencabral.com/shop. Hopefully that is helpful. And then if you can't run the labs, understood, I'd probably do the 21-day detox, continue on with the daily foundational protocol level 2 or level 3, and then I would do the heavy metal detox at least after that. All right. Katie's up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. Katie here. Big fan. I watch you every morning with my daily nutritional support shake and coffee. Happy to hear that, Katie. And thank you, everybody, for all the kind words. I always appreciate you and thank you. I'm so grateful to have found you and learned so much from you. Thank you for sharing your raw knowledge and not being afraid to go against the grain. That is one thing that I can say is that I'm not afraid to go against what is popular at the moment. It doesn't necessarily make me the most popular, but I'm totally okay with that. Having 1 million Instagram followers, I'm okay with not making that my life's goal. But thank you. I appreciate you. All kidding aside, let's get to your question. I work as a clinical nutritionist at a bariatric center. I don't agree with everything we do, but see great results from the surgery. We are told to have patients do all sugar-free items, and I have seen the research recently that it can cause weight gain. I morally fight with it as I don't care to give that advice, but a lot of patients are highly addicted to sugar. I do suggest they get checked for bacterial overgrowth if they seem to crave all the time. Any advice is appreciated. Yeah, this is a tough one. I totally agree. Meaning, listen, what I do is completely free of pharmaceutical drugs and conventional medicine, but I run conventional blood work and I run all the subclinical root cause-based labs, the at-home labs. And everything I do is completely drug-free. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate what you do, Katie, and the center that you does. Because let's face it, not everybody is into natural health or natural medicine or really taking care of themselves in the way that maybe I've come to understand is what I believe the healthiest way, or maybe you have as well, Katie. But it isn't necessarily the only way, and I want to respect that. And so if people choose to do some type of, I believe you said that you do gastric bypass you do some type of surgery at your bariatric center, that we respect that. And that's what I do. I always tell. So people will come to me and they're vegan. People will come to me and they're carnivore. People will come to me and they're on TRT. And I say, it's all good. I'm here to support you. This is your life. You choose what you feel is best for you. And then I support you with that, and that's what I choose to do. But I just shared research. And I know that you wrote in 12 weeks ago. So I totally get it, or 10 weeks ago. But I talked about this on episode 2912. And the research is actually that sugar-free alternatives do not help with weight loss. Really interesting. And so when we're looking at that, here's the reason why. It's still all processed food, right? So when we're giving the recommendations, what I always tell people in your position, if you can say, if it comes in a box or if it comes in a bag, it's just suspect. Whether it says sugar-free or XYZ on it, it doesn't necessarily matter. Now, we know it's more of maybe a elitist or privileged thing to say, oh, if it comes in a box or a bag, but it's still true. Like it's still true no matter what you want to call it, is that it's too far removed from nature, right? So you can eat fruit, that's okay. You can eat your broccoli and your sweet potatoes, and you can eat these carbs and they taste sweet, and that's okay. It's what happens is when we turn that sweet potato into sweet potato crackers, right? Or these other types of things where it's mixed then with oils now, and it's mixed with all sorts of extra sodium chloride, salt, right? So that's the issue. And I think that we can simply try to do our best. But I do agree, look for the gut-based issues, but you want to look for those gut-based issues before they have the surgery in an ideal world. All right. Thank you for writing in. Appreciate you. Let's get to one more question. I know I went a little long-winded today, but I do want to get in one more. This one's from David. David says, hi, Dr. Cabral from New Zealand. I've been enjoying your podcast for a few years now, and I have a question regarding my 8-year-old son who's having trouble with swollen and sore lymph nodes in his neck and sometimes groin. We've seen multiple doctors and specialists over the last 8 months and done blood work tests. They have suggested only pain relief and antihistamines and nasal spray. He is an otherwise healthy, active, and outgoing kid, but the constant pain he is in extremely frustrating. As a parent, do you have any suggestions that I might try? Many thanks. Okay, I do, because I went through this as a teenager and young adult in my 20s. And I've had kids with swollen glands in the neck and groin. So what happens is these lymph nodes in the neck and in the groin and in the armpits and behind the legs, like there's lymph nodes all over the body. Well, what they do is think of them as the white blood cells move through the lymphatic system. It's just one part of it. They're also in the blood. But they'll go to these, call it like cleaning stations. That's how I want you to think of your lymph nodes. And what happens is the bacteria or the viruses the inflammation can get caught up in the lymph nodes, and there needs to be some type of drainage. So I know he's only 8 years old. It's not like you can do sauna and all these things, but staying active, moving the body, all those things are helpful. Getting fruit in the body, lots of fluids, lots of liquids. But I want you to check out my children's healing protocol. I use this as a gargle for swollen tonsils, but I know that's not the issue here. But they used 3 different products, and I can just name them for you, but it's also, if you go to stephencabral.com/children-protocol, I believe that's it. I never look things up or go to the websites because I try to get through all the questions quickly, because I know, everybody wants their question answered now. They don't necessarily want it answered in 12 weeks, and I get that. But let's see if I can find this real quick for you to make sure that it's protocol. Let's see here. Yes, it is. Okay. Go to stephencabral.com/children-protocol. And that's exactly what I use to boost the immune system in my children. Now, this is really important though. I want you, and so they use the daily foundation protocol as well. But again, I just real quick, I want to give you, I do 1 teaspoon vitamin C, liquid vitamin C, 1 teaspoon of a immune syrup by Sambucus, not the children's one, the adult one, 1 teaspoon. And I do 1 teaspoon of a product that I don't even think is sold anymore called Natrinex. That's what I use. Now, okay. So, but there's alternatives there as well. Okay. One more I had to give you. I can't recommend enough. If you can only run one lab, one lab, it would be the, I'd run the big 3, but if you can only do one, I would do the bacteria. No, I'm trying to think between the 2. I would run the big 3 if possible. And if not, I would do the bacteria, parasite, and stool test. And then if not, I would do the Candida metabolic vitamins test, because there might be a gut issue. He might have had antibiotics when he was younger, and now there's proteins or there's bacteria, there's something in the bloodstream that's causing these glands to be swollen. So that's what I would do. All right, Dave, thank you for writing in. Appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.